The African savanna is not only a place of survival, but also a fierce battlefield, where predators constantly pressure and test each other to the limit. In this tense vortex, hyenas emerge as masters of controlling the situation with their tenacity, cunning, and terrifying ability to read the game. From silent approach to accelerating bursts of speed, each confrontation reveals how they manipulate space and turn the tide of battle to their advantage. At this stage, the hyena maintains its position behind and uses its body weight to limit the antelope's head toss and horn use. The targeted individual gradually loses its rhythm and cannot maintain a stable direction when attempting to change course. The hunt ended when the time is right, the antelope lowers its guard during rest periods after feeding. The hyena moves low from behind, maintaining distance to avoid detection and maintaining initial pressure. It follows, spreading out to force the antelope's movement, then accelerates to close in with its rear body and launch an attack. In the open grasslands of East and South Africa, antelopes maintain positions in areas with good visibility to detect threats early. They generally avoid dense vegetation, staying elevated whenever possible and maintaining constant vigilance within the herd. Their good stamina, ability to maintain a steady pace, and well-developed horns and neck and shoulder muscles help them maintain distance when approached, and pressure begins to build. In dry grasslands and dense bushland, rhinos maintain a steady pace and often move near water sources to regulate their body temperature. Their thick skin helps them reduce the impact of the environment and maintain a consistent movement rhythm, thereby controlling the surrounding space. Their strength is concentrated in their head and neck, and their short bursts of acceleration give them an initial advantage. When a mother rhino appears with her calf on the grassland, hyenas approach from multiple directions while maintaining a safe distance, creating initial pressure. They don't attack directly, but circle around, constantly checking the mother's reaction and trying to separate her from her calf, gradually closing the gap. When a small opening appears, the hyena increases pressure and closes in to try and break through the protective position, forcing the situation into close confrontation. As the pressure increases, the mother rhino maintains her position at the front and adjusts her movement to shield her calf, maintaining her advantage. If the rhinoceros formation holds firm, the hyena has no chance of controlling the area and is forced to retreat, reducing its effectiveness. The confrontation ends when the rhinoceros holds its position and forces the hyena to retreat. In savanna grasslands and semi-arid regions, zebras live in herds and maintain distance to observe each other, remaining constantly vigilant. The open environment allows them to detect danger early and maintain stable movement, preserving their formation. High stamina, long-distance running ability, and powerful hind kicks help zebras maintain distance when approached. Soon, the hyena begins to move slowly from behind, maintaining a low formation to avoid detection and preserve the initial distance. They don't attack immediately, but follow for an extended period, spreading out to force the zebra's direction, further constricting space before accelerating to close in and launch an attack from multiple directions. When the zebra begins to slow down and constantly change direction, the hyena increases pressure from multiple sides, forcing one individual to separate from the herd. When the pressure increases significantly, the separated zebra loses its rhythm and constantly changes direction, altering the course of the battle. The hyena continues to closely monitor and control the surrounding space, maintaining its position from multiple directions to gain an advantage. The battle ends when the hyena gains control of the separated individual, while the zebra pack maintains its formation and moves away from the area. In open grasslands near rivers and lakes, buffalo maintain large herds and move in formation to constantly observe and maintain initial stability. They utilize open space to detect threats from afar, while maintaining close ties between individuals in the herd, thus maintaining control. Their thick horns and muscular necks and shoulders help buffalo maintain control of the space. When the herd enters an open area, hyenas spread out and approach from multiple directions at a safe distance, creating initial pressure. They don't charge directly, but follow, forcing the herd's direction of movement and continuously monitoring their reaction, further tightening the space. When an individual shows signs of slowing down, the hyena accelerates, closing in from behind and launching an attack to try to break through the defensive position, shifting to close quarters combat. Once the pressure clearly increases, buffalo lower their heads and turn to maintain formation, preventing any gaps for the opponent to approach, thus maintaining their advantage. The herd continuously adjusted their positions and supported each other to maintain a safe distance, reducing the effectiveness of the approach. The confrontation ended when the buffalo held its formation and forced the hyena to retreat from the area, closing the situation. In the vast, sparsely forested savannas of Africa, wild dogs operate in packs in open spaces with excellent visibility. They maintain a reasonable distance and constantly observe to control their surroundings. Their high stamina and rapid recovery allow wild dogs to maintain an advantage when moving and becoming a target. At that point, the wild dog pack had just finished hunting and were holding the carcass of their prey. Hyenas, attracted, began approaching from the edge of the area and applied initial pressure. They moved cautiously, then accelerated to close in and launch an attack to break through the defenses. In this situation, the wild dog pack formed a defensive circle and constantly shifted positions to maintain distance. As the number of hyenas increased, the formation stretched and the advantage diminished. The confrontation ended when the wild dogs retreated, and the hyenas gained control of the food source. In the vast grasslands of East and South Africa, wildebeest move in herds, maintaining distance to observe each other and remain constantly vigilant. They are well adapted to open environments where their long-distance vision helps them detect danger early, maintaining a stable formation. Their high endurance and ability to sustain long journeys allow wildebeest to maintain a steady rhythm. Soon, as the herd passes through an open area, hyenas spread out and observe from the edges, maintaining initial pressure. They don't approach immediately, but take turns following to force the wildebeest to change direction and constantly adjust, further tightening the space. When an individual begins to lose rhythm, the hyena accelerates, closing in and launching an attack from multiple directions. When the pressure increases significantly, the targeted individual loses its rhythm and the distance narrows, changing the course of the battle. Hyenas continue to pursue, maintaining their positions from multiple directions and controlling the target's movement space, sustaining their advantage. The hunt ends when the hyenas maintain control and defeat the individual, while the wildebeest continue to move. Wildebeest maintain their advantage by maintaining a stable formation and movement rhythm before it is broken. When the rhythm is disrupted, their defenses decrease and distances are no longer maintained. Exposing weaknesses, hyenas maintain sustained pressure and seize opportune moments to control the target. In sparsely forested and savanna areas, leopards operate alone and maintain distance from their surroundings, initially taking the initiative. They use the canopy and terrain to ambush, observe before acting, and maintain an advantage, keeping control of the situation. Their well-developed shoulder and neck muscles help leopards control their prey, thus shifting them into a state of being clearly watched. Soon after, as the scent of prey spreads, hyenas begin to approach from the edge of the area, maintaining distance to avoid detection and building initial pressure. They observe and wait for the opportune moment before the leopard has brought the prey to a safe position, further closing the distance and tightening the space. When the opportunity becomes clear, the hyena accelerates, closing in and launching an attack from behind. As the pressure increases, the leopard loses its ground advantage and must move to avoid confrontation, altering the course of the battle. The hyena maintained its position close to and controlled the area around the food source, holding the advantage and maintaining pressure. The confrontation ended when the leopard retreated to a higher position, while the hyena retained control of the prey. The events show that the leopard held the advantage by controlling the prey in the early stages, before the pressure became apparent. As the pressure continued, its ability to hold the prey decreased, and its position became unstable, causing its advantage to diminish. The hyena took advantage of this moment to maintain control and end the confrontation. In the open savanna, with low grass and scattered bushes, lions establish their territory around water sources and prey gathering points. Their wide field of vision allows them to observe early and organize ambushes when necessary, maintaining the initiative. Their well-developed shoulder, neck, and foreleg muscles help lions control space, shifting to a state of being watched from a distance. As soon as the lion pride leaves the feeding ground, hyenas maintain their distance and only approach when their alertness decreases, creating initial pressure. They observe from the edge of the area, waiting for an individual to separate from the group or slow down, gradually closing the distance. When conditions are favorable, the hyenas accelerate, lunging to try to bite and pull from behind, forcing the formation to react immediately. When the distance is shortened, lions react quickly and advance to maintain a safe distance, turning the situation around. They coordinate as a group, overwhelming and pushing back approaching individuals, maintaining control. The battle ends when the lions hold the area and force the hyenas to retreat. Overall, the lion holds the advantage when defending territory and food sources. When an individual separates from the group, the hyena can exploit the situation, but must retreat quickly if the risk increases. The balance tips in favor of the lion due to its strength and quick reflexes, while the hyena maintains its advantage through observation and timing. Each encounter exposes the fine line between instantaneous power and sustained strategy. Where hyenas don't charge blindly, but maintain pressure, observe, and wait for the right moment to intervene, turning patience into a decisive advantage. And in the harsh, wild world, it is the one who controls the pace and timing who holds the power to determine the outcome. In arid regions, wild dogs maintain a hunting strategy based on coordination and spatial control from a distance. They constantly adjust their position, force their prey to move, and launch short bursts of attacks to disrupt their reaction time. The following sequence of events documents the approach: closing in and control as wild dogs execute attacks in various environments. On vast grasslands and savannas, lions live in packs and maintain territorial control, providing a vantage point for observation from a distance. They are adapted to hot climates and often track movement across open terrain, maintaining early detection capabilities. Their large size, powerful physique, and ability to close the distance give lions an advantage in confrontations. As soon as the distance is reduced, a group of wild dogs moves into the area and begins observing the lion's movement, maintaining their initial distance. Some individuals hold positions in front, while others circle around to the sides and rear to create pressure, further narrowing the space. As the distance shortens, the wild dogs approach step by step, but the lion suddenly accelerates and charges directly into the formation, breaking the close-range engagement. Once the formation is broken, the wild dogs cannot maintain their position and quickly retreat from the area, reducing the pressure of the confrontation. The lion takes the center position and re-establishes territorial control, maintaining a stable space. The battle ends when the lion maintains control, and the wild dog retreats and leaves the area to avoid further approach. On savanna grasslands, woodlands, and riverside areas, buffalo move in herds and depend on a stable water source. They can live from wide plains to dense shrublands, well adapted to hot and dry climates. Their thick, curved horns, high endurance, and ability to maintain movement for extended periods help buffalo keep their distance and be ready to confront, providing a foundation for continuous observation and maintaining a stable formation against any threat. A group of wild dogs keeps their bodies low and follows at the edge of the herd, minimizing attention and maintaining an initial distance. They spread out to force the direction of movement, while other individuals approach in short bursts to avoid direct confrontation. When the distance is reduced, wild dogs approach from multiple directions and maintain constant pressure, gradually tightening the space and shifting the situation to close quarters combat. When the pressure increases significantly, an individual at the edge separates from the herd and loses its position in the defensive formation. The wild dogs immediately took positions from multiple sides, isolating the individual and controlling its direction of movement, further closing the distance. The process ended with the wild dogs gaining control of the individual that had broken away from the herd, while the rest of the buffalo herd maintained formation and moved away from the area. On the edge of savannas and in rocky, tall-treed areas, baboons live in groups and choose high vantage points to rest and observe, maintaining a visual advantage. They are adapted to the hot climate, traveling long distances for water and food, and maintaining vigilance through vocal and behavioral signals, setting the stage for an early response. Their strong jaws with long canine teeth, powerful arms, and excellent running and climbing abilities help baboons maintain their position and prepare for confrontation. From that point, a group of wild dogs keeps their bodies low and follows from beneath the grass, avoiding attracting attention and maintaining distance. Some spread out to force their way, while others approach in short bursts, avoiding direct confrontation with the adult male, further tightening the space. When the distance is reduced, the wild dogs approach from multiple directions and maintain pressure, escalating the situation to a more tense level. When pressure increases significantly, baboons signal and maintain formation, males standing at the front, while cubs and females move to higher positions. During the forced movement, an individual at the edge separates from the guarding group, and a gap appears for a short time. The process ends with wild dogs taking up positions from multiple sides, isolating the weaker individual and gaining control. In the vast savanna, hyenas observe their surroundings for weak or isolated individuals. They often coordinate in groups and maintain distance to control the situation. Their strong jaws, high endurance, and ability to travel long distances allow hyenas to maintain position and be ready for confrontation, thus enabling predators to begin approaching in their direction of movement. Soon after, a group of wild dogs, keeping low on the ground, begin to follow the hyena's movement. Some individuals approach from the sides, while others approach from behind to create constant pressure. As the distance narrows, the wild dogs advance step by step, maintaining their approach from multiple directions. As the pressure increases, the hyena continuously rotates its body to maintain its facing direction and not expose its rear. The wild dogs cannot maintain a safe distance to approach and begin to reduce pressure to avoid a direct collision. The hunt ends when the hyena holds its position and leaves the area, while the wild dog stops hunting and changes direction. In the open savanna environment, antelopes maintain pack activity and adapt to various conditions. Antelopes are a group of hoofed animals living primarily in Africa and parts of Asia, with high adaptability and the ability to maintain stable formations. An individual feeding continuously monitors its surroundings and is ready to signal when danger is detected. As soon as a change is detected, a group of wild dogs begins to close the distance in the direction of the pack's movement and maintains close contact. At that point, another group of wild dogs moves up to close behind, touching the pack's path and forcing it to change direction. Another group moves forward to block the way and force the pack to constantly change direction. When the formation begins to shift, an individual antelope gradually loses its advantage and separates from the general direction of movement. Wild dogs maintain positions from multiple sides and maintain a continuous encirclement. Antelope tried to change direction, but couldn't maintain the distance. The wild dog took control and ended the hunt. In arid lands, oryx constantly observe as they move and forage, setting the stage for early reaction. They detect predators from afar and quickly signal to maintain formation and steady direction. Their sharp horns, quick reflexes, and high stamina help oryx maintain distance and prepare for confrontation. Soon after, a group of wild dogs begins to close the distance in the direction of the oryx's movement. Some individuals spread out to force their way, while others approach in short bursts to maintain pressure. As the distance continues to narrow, the wild dogs close in and attempt to approach from multiple directions, leading to a direct confrontation. When the distance can no longer be maintained, the oryx turns back to its opposite position and points its horns forward to control the space. The wild dogs cannot maintain close proximity and begin to reduce pressure to avoid a direct collision. The hunt ends when the oryx secures a gap and leaves the area, while the wild dog stops hunting and changes direction. On dry, low-lying ground, warthogs move slowly, constantly observing their surroundings before entering open areas, maintaining vigilance. Warthogs have very keen survival instincts and often quickly retreat to their burrows when they detect danger nearby. From that state, a group of wild dogs begins to spread out instead of approaching directly, maintaining distance from behind and forcing the warthog to turn defensively, maintaining pressure. Some individuals follow closely from behind, while others circle to the sides to force the warthog to constantly turn defensively, continuing to squeeze the space. When the distance is shortened, the wild dogs increase pressure and look for a moment to cut across the warthog's path. When the pressure increases significantly, the warthog reacts with direct butts but cannot maintain a stable direction, changing the course of the battle. The wild dogs quickly change direction and continue to squeeze the space from multiple sides, maintaining control. The story ends with the wild dog gaining control and completing the hunt, bringing the events to a close. At the edges of rivers and swamps, crocodiles maintain ambush positions and remain almost motionless for extended periods, maintaining a stable position. Their bodies are low to the water's surface, only their eyes and nostrils visible for observation and breathing, maintaining constant tracking. Their strong jaws and rapid acceleration over short distances allow crocodiles to control the situation when prey enters their range. After a long journey, the wild dog pack approaches the water's edge and slows down to observe the surface before approaching. One individual gets closer, keeping its head low and monitoring every small movement on the water's surface, further closing the distance. When the distance is reduced, the crocodile emerges from the water, directly approaching and dragging the individual at the edge underwater. When the situation shifts to the water, one wild dog loses contact while held underwater, altering the formation. The remaining individuals emit audible signals and retreat from the danger zone, maintaining a safe distance. The fight ended with the crocodile taking control, and the wild dogs retreating to avoid further contact. In many different environments, the advantage doesn't always lie with the one who initiates the approach and attack. When conditions change, the opponent's reaction can disrupt or reverse the momentum of the attack. Some species use pack structures or individual reflexes to thwart attempts to approach. The outcome is determined by how well the timing of the attack is controlled and the ability to maintain pressure for a short period. Within their shared territory, the hyena pack maintains a dispersed formation, but is always ready to regroup when needed. Individuals constantly observe and maintain appropriate distances to support each other. Upon detecting any unusual activity, they quickly close the circle and apply pressure from multiple directions. At the edge of the area, the lioness lowers her body and approaches a hyena at close range. The lioness shortens the distance but doesn't immediately close, maintaining a state of observation. As she gets closer, the hyena pack moves in unison and surrounds her, forcing the lioness to switch to a defensive posture. The pressure from multiple directions causes the lioness to lose her position and retreat. The hyena pack continues to advance step by step, maintaining constant pressure. The attack ends in failure when the lioness is forced to leave the area. The sequence of events concludes with the advantage shifting according to the number and position of each group. The hyena pack maintains pressure when they have the advantage and retreats quickly when the situation reverses. When an opponent is surrounded from multiple sides, there is no longer any space to maintain an approach. In calm waters near the shore, hippos maintain their territory and control the surrounding space. They remain stable, constantly observing and reacting immediately to any unusual movement. As distance shortens, hippos begin to adjust their position to maintain control. From the edge of the shore, lions advance into the water and quickly lose their advantage in movement. Lions lower their bodies, approach slowly, and try to get closer. Hippos turn, move around, and press closer, creating continuous pressure through distance and direction of movement. Lions do not maintain their attack and instead seek an escape route from the water. Hippos continue to squeeze the space, maintaining close proximity and preventing them from holding their position. The situation ends when the lion leaves the water. Timely escape is crucial. In the open grassland, giraffes maintain distance and constantly monitor their surroundings. Giraffes move in a straight line, using their long strides to keep their distance from threats. When approached, giraffes accelerate and maintain a steady pace for extended periods. This ability to maintain distance lays the groundwork for a reaction when an opponent comes within close range. From behind, a pride of lions accelerates in pursuit, attempting to wear down the giraffe. A lioness closes the distance and aims for a position near the neck when close enough. As soon as the lioness gets close, the giraffe stops running and switches to a direct reaction. The giraffe delivers a kick with its front leg, with almost instantaneous reflexes. The lioness loses her position and is forced to break away from the initial point of contact. The attack ended in failure when the lion retreated immediately after the approach. The situation concluded with the advantage shifting to the giraffe at the moment of impact. The giraffe didn't need to maintain constant distance. It only needed to counterattack at the right moment. The lion failed not because of a lack of strength, but because it couldn't control the timing of its approach. During long migrations, wildebeest maintain a stable direction and follow the signals of the herd. Individuals maintain a reasonable distance, adjusting their positions to the general rhythm to avoid becoming separated. This precise orientation helps the herd stay on track even when the environment changes. When unexpected approaches occur, this movement pattern supports a quick reaction at close range. Two lionesses approach and hold their positions, attempting to subdue their target in a short time. In a brief moment, the wildebeest springs up, changes direction abruptly, and charges straight at the nearest lioness. When close enough, the wildebeest uses its horns to hook onto the lioness's leg, disrupting her grip. One lioness loses her stability and fails to maintain her approach. Both lions shifted from close range to evasive, widening their distance for safety. The attack ended in failure when the wildebeest escaped their grasp. The sequence of events concluded with a timely run and change of direction that altered the course of the battle. The wildebeest broke the point of contact by targeting the lion's lower limbs. With the grip lost, the lion was no longer able to maintain control. In open areas, rhinos maintain their position and react based on their senses of the surroundings. Their vision is limited, but they constantly turn their heads to keep their faces turned toward any nearby movement. Upon sensing approach, the rhino adjusts its stance to maintain a safe distance. From a distance, the lion begins to move slowly, observing the rhino's reaction. The lion closes the distance and then stops, avoiding direct contact and circling the target. Each time it gets close, the rhino turns its head and lunges, forcing the lion to separate and continue circling. After several attempts to approach, the lion cannot maintain its position and must change direction. The rhino creates constant pressure, leaving no safe space to get closer. The attack ends in failure, under constant surveillance. The opponent is forced to leave the area. In their familiar territory, elephant herds maintain a stable formation and control the surrounding space. Adults stand on the outer perimeter, maintaining a unified field of vision and reacting simultaneously. They move in unison, keeping close together to protect the young in the center. When an unfamiliar element appears, the formation quickly tightens and shifts to a defensive posture. Near the carcass, lions are feeding, so their concentration decreases and they are easily distracted. Lions leave their positions, lower their bodies, and move slowly to observe the elephant herd. When lions attempt to approach, the distance narrows, and there is no longer a safe moment. The elephant herd begins to advance at a steady pace, gradually increasing pressure. A single individual suddenly charges, forcing the lions to separate and retreat from their original position. Other individuals continued to advance, maintaining constant pressure and blocking all escape routes. The attack ended in failure. Throughout the entire event, control of the space remained with the elephant herd. The elephants maintained constant pressure and left no room for maneuver. When there was no longer any opportunity, the lions were forced to leave the area. On the quiet grassland, African buffalo begin to demonstrate their group defense. From a close distance, they maintain a stable formation, standing close together and moving slowly. Individuals maintain constant coordination and observe in the same direction when there is any sign of abnormality. This formation facilitates the formation of a collective response. Right in the center of the herd, the lion remains in place and makes no obvious movement. Meanwhile, the buffalo begin to move around, forming a natural circle. When the distance is close enough, one individual suddenly charges. Immediately afterward, others continue to advance, quickly escalating the situation into chaos. The lion loses its position and is forced to retreat. Pressure from multiple directions makes it impossible for the lion to control the situation. The buffalo continue to advance and maintain continuous movement. The lion's attack ended in failure, and the lion had to leave the area. The situation ends when the entire pride's reaction becomes uncontrollable by a single opponent. One individual's initiative is enough to trigger the entire pride. Once the pride acts together, there is no room for individual tactics. Natural coordination becomes the deciding factor in the outcome. In the wilds of Africa, lions often appear in confrontations with various animals possessing unique strengths and instincts. Cautious approaches, sudden lunges, and constant pressure create a tense atmosphere. From vast grasslands to water's edges, each lion attack begins with observation before action is taken. On the dry grasslands of Africa, hyenas typically move in packs, constantly observing areas with signs of food. They exhibit clear coordination, with each individual in the pack knowing how to maintain distance and apply pressure when competing for prey. Their strong jaws give them an advantage in many contests. Shortly after a lion secures a share of the prey in an open field, many hyenas begin calling for more to approach. The hyenas spread out in various directions to surround the lions, continuously trying to close the distance. As the pressure circle tightens, the lions suddenly lunge, forcing a hyena to retreat. After a short lunge from the lion, the entire pack of hyenas continues to shift positions to maintain pressure around the prey. The lions repeatedly lunge in short bursts, causing the hyena group to split and then regroup at greater distances. As the distance between the two sides began to widen, the confrontation gradually ended with the advantage still belonging to lion. As the atmosphere on the grass stabilized, the difference between pack pressure and positional awareness became clearer. Hyena could exert significant pressure thanks to its numbers and group coordination. Lion maintained its advantage by controlling the distance around its prey and forcing hyena to stop outside of close range. At the water's edge, crocodiles typically stay close to the water's surface, silently observing their surroundings. Crocodiles are very patient ambush predators, usually waiting for their target to get close before reacting. Their strong jaws give them an advantage in confined spaces. As the water becomes calmer, the crocodile slowly approaches the bank, maintaining a safe distance. Several lions also gather ahead, constantly circling around the water's edge. The atmosphere around the riverbank begins to change as the distance between the two sides narrows. As the crocodile continues to adjust its position closer to the water's surface, a lion suddenly lunges from the side. The lions quickly create pressure from multiple directions, forcing the crocodile to constantly change direction to maintain its distance. Following the lion's close-range attack, the crocodile's positional advantage began to diminish. The crocodile continued to react at close range, but could no longer maintain its initial safe distance. The lions maintained constant pressure around the shoreline, forcing the crocodile to retreat toward deeper water. With little space left ahead, the crocodile chose to retreat underwater, while the lions maintained control of the area in front. In the muddy river areas of Africa, hippo often submerges itself to maintain stability and protect its skin. Hippo reacts quickly to any unfamiliar creature entering its territory, including lion approaching the water's edge. Its large jaws and heavy body give hippo a clear advantage in the water, while the muddy edge ahead becomes increasingly tense. Lion approaches the river to find a way to the other side, constantly observing the water's surface before moving. The water is initially calm, but hippo suddenly surfaces near lion's position and lunges straight towards the bank. The powerful lunge from hippo forces lion to turn immediately and retreat quickly to shore before the distance narrows. Lion narrowly escapes the muddy edge and stops on dry land for safety. The hippopotamus maintained its position near the water's edge, its jaws wide open in warning, preventing the lion from approaching the river area. The confrontation ended when the lion retreated from the riverbank, with the water ahead remaining within the hippopotamus's control. In this confrontation, the terrain clearly determined the advantage of each species. The lion held the advantage on dry land, but the muddy water forced it to avoid a direct response from the hippopotamus. The hippopotamus simply maintaining its position in the water was enough to force the lion to stop at the riverbank. In the vast savannas of Africa, wild dogs often move in packs to hunt and defend their territory. Wild dogs are highly social, each individual knowing how to coordinate and support their pack when danger arises. Their constant movement allows them to exert significant pressure when venturing deep into lion territory. When a pack of wild dogs inadvertently enters lion territory, they quickly gather and bark continuously to create pressure. The lion silently observes from the low grass, waiting for a wild dog to become slow at the edge of the pack. As the barking intensifies, the lion suddenly lunges into the middle of the pack, causing one wild dog to lose its rhythm and immediately separate from the front. After this brief lunge from the lion, the pack of wild dogs quickly regroups and continues to maintain pressure from a safer distance. Lion continuously advanced, forcing wild dog to retreat from the area he was closing in on. As the distance between them widened, the confrontation ended with lion retaining the advantage. Along the low grasslands near the water's edge, the buffalo herd quickly closes in formation upon detecting unusual movement in the distance. Buffaloes have a very strong defensive instinct and often immediately form a dense line to shield the individuals behind them. Their strong shoulders and heavy bodies help buffaloes create significant pressure at close range. When one buffalo begins to slow down behind the group, many lions lower their bodies and silently move in different directions. Constantly pressured from behind, the buffalo plunges into the shallow water to try to widen the distance from the approaching lion herd. The lions continue to maintain their encirclement, gradually narrowing the space in front. As soon as the buffalo tries to return to dry land, the lions immediately accelerate and press closer from multiple directions. One lion suddenly lunges forcefully at the buffalo's shoulder to block its path. Despite attempting to retaliate with short frontal attacks, the buffaloes were ultimately outmaneuvered by the lions, who maintained control of the front line. As the chase subsided, the difference between collective endurance and group hunting tactics became clearer. The buffaloes had a significant advantage in strength and close-range defense. The lions only maintained constant pressure until gaps began to appear in the buffalo's formation. Amidst the low bushes and sparse forests of Africa, leopards often choose areas with ample cover to move and ambush. Leopards hunt patiently, usually approaching their target slowly before launching a close-range attack. Their agility and tree-climbing ability give them a distinct advantage. As the air around the grassy area becomes quieter, the lion silently advances through the dense grass, while the leopard remains near its food source at the base of a tree. The lion doesn't charge immediately, but maintains distance, waiting for the leopard to move away from a position where it can climb a tree to avoid a confrontation. When the space ahead narrows, the lion suddenly lunges forward, directly blocking the leopard's escape route. Immediately after the lion's close approach, the leopard recoils and quickly moves away from its prey to find an escape route towards taller trees. The lion continues to advance at close range, maintaining control around the prey's location. As the atmosphere on the field gradually calmed down, the confrontation ended with lion ultimately holding the advantage. On the vast grasslands of Africa, cheetahs are usually active during the day to avoid direct competition with lions and leopards. Cheetahs always carefully observe their surroundings after each hunt because resting periods are when they are most vulnerable. Their speed and acceleration help them escape many dangers, but the grassland ahead gradually becomes more tense. As the hunting ground begins to quiet down, Lion notices Cheetah still standing near the prey they just caught. Lion silently moves through the low grass, continuously closing the distance before Cheetah can get away. When the distance is close enough, Lion suddenly lunges, forcing Cheetah to turn and flee from the area ahead. As soon as the safe distance is broken, Cheetah tries to accelerate to leave the hunting ground, but can no longer hold on to the food. Lion continued to close in for a short time, forcing Cheetah to move away from the open field and not return to its original position. The confrontation ended when Cheetah escaped danger, while the prey area behind it remained within Lion's control. As the confrontation gradually subsided, the difference between speed and pressure became clearer. Lion only needed to approach at the right moment before Cheetah had a chance to leave the hunting area. Cheetah could run fast, but the vigilance after each hunt helped it avoid danger. Freezing temperatures, hunger, and the struggle for survival are never absent from the northern wilderness. Wolves may not be the strongest, but they are masters of tactics and relentlessly pursue their prey. Each hunt is a battle of wits where coordination, timing, and persistence make all the difference. From confronting bears to chasing rabbits, wolf packs leave a clear mark of a species that constantly adapts. Musk oxen, native to the tundras of Alaska and Canada, are ancient animals that survived the Ice Age. With their thick fur and sturdy bodies, they are well adapted to the harsh cold. Musk ox herds are often large, sometimes numbering over 50 in winter. When they sense a threat, they immediately form a defensive circle, with the larger oxen on the outside protecting the young inside. A single horn charge can inflict serious injury. But even knowing the high risk, the wolf pack decides to attack, as such energy is essential during the long winter. Initially, the musk oxen held their formation, forcing the wolves to retreat. However, the wolves did not give up. They coordinated their efforts, applying pressure from multiple directions, constantly breaking through the defenses. An old and weak ox was separated from the pack. The wolves cornered it, preventing it from rejoining the formation. The fight dragged on, and when the prey was exhausted, an opportunity arose. The wolves' victory belonged not to strength, but to organization, perseverance, and precise timing. In nature, survival doesn't belong to the strongest, but to the species that knows how to cooperate and wait for their opportunity. Grizzly bears are among the most powerful animals in North America. With their large size, quick reflexes, and high endurance, they usually have no clear rivals in their natural habitat. But in the wild, even the strongest can sometimes become a target for challenges. A young grizzly bear, separated from its pack, was foraging near the edge of the forest when it was spotted. The wolf pack approached cautiously. They spread out, maintaining a safe distance, barking loudly, creating a cacophony of sounds, and constantly moving to distract attention. Their goal wasn't a direct confrontation, but rather observing the bear's reaction. One wolf unexpectedly approached from behind, quickly attacking the bear's leg before retreating. This wasn't a decisive attack, but a test to assess the bear's fatigue, reflexes, and defenses. This approach allowed the pack to adjust their strategy without incurring losses. The bear retreated into the bushes, not out of fear, but to find a more advantageous position. The wolves did not pursue. They maintained their control. The confrontation ended without casualties. Here, retreat is not a sign of weakness. It is a calculated reaction to conserve energy and maintain position. In nature, strength is not only demonstrated through attack, but also through the ability to read the situation and make the right choices at the right time. Bison are one of the most effective collective defense groups. When threatened, they immediately form a circle with the young in the center and the adults surrounding them, always on alert. With their large size and quick reflexes, adult bison are not easily subdued. Wolves don't try to break through the defenses with direct force. Instead, they divide roles. One group distracts and disrupts from the front, while the other silently approaches from behind. Their target is always a young, isolated individual, or one showing signs of exhaustion. Each move is accompanied by observation to find weaknesses, assess reactions, and identify the opportune moment. Fatigue is what wolves are waiting for. When a bison begins to lose its formation, the wolf pack immediately narrows the encirclement. There is no quick finish. Each approach is part of a gradual, time-consuming attrition strategy, carefully coordinated to avoid wasting energy. Even when gaining the upper hand, the risk of a strong reaction from the bison always remains. Victory isn't about overwhelming force, but about perseverance, good organization, and timing. That's how wolves survive in the harsh grasslands. Intelligence, not just brute strength. Elks, one of the large animals that move through dense forests and snow-covered valleys, can reach speeds of 40 miles per hour when in danger. But in winter, when the ice is thick and the ground slippery, that very speed becomes a risk. Their steps are no longer steady, and their reflexes slow due to the cold and exhaustion. The wolf pack doesn't attack immediately. They observe from a distance, keeping their distance and waiting, not to ambush, but to assess. They pay attention to every long, slipping step, every labored breath, and every sign of fatigue after a long, icy journey. When the weakest individual in the pack begins to lose their rhythm, that's when the strategy is put into action. One group of wolves approaches from the flank, creating disruption. The rest stays behind, blocking the escape route. The elk is left alone, trying to break through, but its footwork is no longer precise. The icy surface becomes an obstacle not because it's slippery, but because the elk can no longer utilize its speed advantage. The finishing blow didn't come immediately. The wolf retreated if the elk continued to resist strongly. But with each wave of pressure, each time exhausting the opponent, the coordination gradually pushed the elk to its limits. This wasn't a clash between two strong individuals, but a test of strategy and timing. The wolf didn't win through individual strength, but through its ability to read the situation and exploit weaknesses, even in the biting cold of winter. Rabbits don't offer much energy, but in times of scarcity, even small targets become valuable. A wolf pack doesn't limit its prey to a single pattern. Maintaining a food source for the entire group is crucial. With their ability to change direction quickly and hide flexibly, rabbits make it difficult for lone wolves to hunt. However, when coordinated, the pack clearly divides into groups. One group approaches from the front to force the rabbit to change direction, while the other waits at the escape point. Instead of an aimless chase, every movement of the rabbit is scrutinized. The pack observes, analyzes, and exploits the distance when an opportunity arises. The result this time: the rabbit is defeated. Victory comes from coordination and careful calculation. This isn't a test of strength, but an illustration of adaptability in a harsh environment. When resources are scarce, the agile and united will find survival. Caribou are common long-distance migrants in tundra regions. They move in large packs, maintaining a steady pace and consistent stamina. But a weak link in the formation immediately creates a gap. Wolves don't chase everyone. They wait for signs that a young, old, or exhausted individual is falling behind. The target isn't necessarily easily accessible, but easily separated from the pack. The key isn't speed, but choosing the right time and place. When an individual begins to fall behind, the pack deploys its formation. One group distracts from the flank, while the others move behind. Each approach is a test of reaction, assessing fatigue and vulnerability. Instead of charging head-on, they wear down their opponent through intermittent pressure. There's no immediate finish. Wolves don't seek quick victories, but focus on coordination, patience, and conserving energy. When the opponent is weakened, the wolf makes its final move. This is not a chase at high speed, but a game of calculation. Retreating when necessary is not a sign of defeat. It is how the wolf preserves its opportunity for the next attack. Wild boars are a formidable species with a short, muscular build and sharp tusks. When cornered, they fight back fiercely, posing a real threat to their attacker. But even when alone, they remain a vulnerable target. Wolves don't rush in. They gauge the opponent's reaction, position themselves, and strike at the legs where they can slow them down. The goal is to gradually exhaust the prey, not to finish them off immediately. Each harassment wears down their strength and vigilance, and when the prey begins to slow down, the pack tightens its grip, completing the hunt. This victory belongs to the wolves not through a decisive blow, but through coordination, a clear strategy, and persistent pursuit. From snow-covered plains to desolate grasslands, each attack is a matter of survival. Wolves don't choose the easy path, but the effective one where strategy trumps brute strength. Success doesn't come from a decisive blow, but from perseverance and sustained coordination over time. In nature, survival doesn't belong to the strongest, but to the most adaptable.